I've been associated with the marathon for the last 20 years. My first interaction with the marathon, the CEO of East Africa, Mike Hart, came up with this very odd idea of creating a marathon in Nairobi. And the philosophy behind it was, we have Kenyans winning marathons all over the world. Why can't we have a marathon in Nairobi? So he put a team of us together to say, how do we then create a marathon in Kenya? And together we came up with a sort of a proposal. This is how a marathon in Nairobi would look like. It's very, very different from how the marathon looks like today. It was very bare bones and very basic, but it was a start. The concept seemed obvious. It's the things, the little details, so how was it going to be run? But I think the earliest challenge for us was the route. We thought, a city marathon would be the best like it is everywhere else in the world. But Nairobi is quite a compact city. And so we came up with this sort of weird idea of a zigzag. So, you go down University Way, you come back up Kenyatta Avenue, you go down Haile Selassie, you come back and then you run Nyayo Stadium. So the route was quite interesting. I remember the guy who was in charge of the route was the late John Velzian. John struggled very hard to come up with a route that met the international standards, the IAAF standards in terms of inclines, small details like that, and distance. Because don't forget that this was going to be the first IAAF accredited marathon that is run at altitude. And then the one that was particularly interesting was the church. And this was hugely controversial, and it went on for a number of years because the marathon is being run on a Sunday morning. Kenyans love to go to church in the morning. The route that we are using was access to all the major churches, but sitting down with them and having dialogue, we were able to come up with a workable solution. If we go back to why the marathon, so the first thing was to raise funds for charity. And I think that then became sort of the key. But what are we going to do with this money? And it's through sheer luck. We interacted with a young lady doctor who had an eye camp in a place called Olmalo. And she was doing cataract operations for young Samburu children. And so we went up there and we looked at what she was doing, and it was actually doing it out of her suitcase and a small tent. And said, this could be something that we could get involved in. So our first real aim was to support Olmalo Eye Camp. So that's how we sort of moved into the eye care area. So that's how the seeing is believing came in. For me, if the Standard Chartered Marathon could become an event like the Berlin, the Chicago, the London Marathon, that to me would be, I think it not only put the marathon on the map, but it also put Kenya on the map. We want to get to a point where the whole world is watching the Nairobi Marathon. So that to me would be an achievement.